The narrator, Susie Salmon, like the fish, has been dead since November 1973. She was 14 when she was raped and murdered by her neighbor, Mr. Harvey, in the cornfield coming home after school. She is now in heaven, which she soon learns is her own personal heaven. The detective in charge, Fennerman, tells Susie's parents they have found Susie's elbow bone. Susie's schoolbook and class note are found. On December 15, Fennerman tells the Salmon that Susie is probably dead. Mr. Harvey, in the meantime, destroyed the underground room where Susie was murdered. Then he put her body parts in a bag, which he puts in his garage. Mr. Harvey puts the bag with Susie's body part into a safe and dumps the safe into a sinkhole 8 miles from their neighborhood. Jack, Susie's father, begins to suspect Mr. Harvey of Susie's murder. He calls Fennerman to investigate. He thinks Mr. Harvey is weird, but doesn't find any evidence to make him a suspect. Susie's funeral service takes place 2 months after her death. Family members start to realize Harvey is the killer. Meanwhile, there is no progress on Susie's case. One night, Jack sees a light in the cornfield from his window. He goes out there with his baseball bat and almost attacks Susie's friend Clarissa, who's out there waiting for her boyfriend Brian Nelson. In an attempt to protect his girlfriend, Brian takes the baseball bat and beats Jack with it, landing him at the hospital. At the hospital, Abigail Salmon runs into Fernerman and they begin an affair. That fall, Lindsay, Susie's sister, gets an idea that she should break into Mr. Harvey's house and find evidence to connect with Susie's murder. Around Thanksgiving, she does it and finds the evidence she needs. Meanwhile, Mr. Harvey packs up and flees town. The following summer, Abigail leaves home and family. Mr. Harvey has been gone over a year and nobody has been able to find him. In December 1988, Fennerman learned that Susie's charm was found near the body of a murdered girl found in 1976. Shortly after, in New York, Ruth and Susie's school friends learned that the sinkhole where she correctly suspected Mr. Harvey's buried Susie's body is to be filled in. So she makes plans to return to Philadelphia suburb. Jack has an heart attack in the meantime, and he is rushed to the hospital. Abigail hears about it and finally is come back to her family. Meanwhile, Mr. Harvey is headed back to the old neighborhood, and the novel comes to an end. We learn that Susie has moved on. Mr. Harvey is about to attend another murder, but he fell and died. Let's analyze the differences between the book and the movie. The first big difference is that in the movie, Susie is murdered and then raped. There are some characters omitted from the movie, like Hankler, Lindsay's boyfriend brother, Susan Side, Ray's mom, Mr. and Mrs. DeWitt, the track coach and the English teacher. Some characters that play a larger role in the book are also omitted from the movie. Holiday, their dog, Len, Samuel, Lindsay's boyfriend, Ruth, Ray, Lindsay, Susie's sister. Susie's body is dumped in the sinkhole at the beginning of the book. The book doesn't have much in the between. The only time it is really mentioned is in the beginning, and it is more like a normal town. There aren't giant ships in a border or anything like that. Jack has an heart attack, which is how he hands it to the hospital and why Abigail comes back. In the movie, Mr. Harvey leaves town sooner, or at least it seems like it, because the book covers more years. The author, Alice Sebold, was born in 1963 in it's an American writer. She has published 3 books: Lucky, 1999, The Lovely Bones, 2002, and The Almost Moon, 2007. She grew up in the suburb of Philadelphia. In May 1981, she was raped while walking home through a park off campus. She reported the crime to the police, who took her statement and investigated, but could not find any suspect. On October 1981, while walking down on the street near Syracuse, she recognized a rapist. She notifies to the police and testifying against him. I loved this book because of the message of strength after death. The way it was written really gave us a sense of peace and belonging, even if the story itself is painful. The book sold over 1 million copies and remained on the New York Times bestseller list for a year.